All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here on the Harmless Dave channel, talking
Harmless.
about real music and doing it in real time for a few real people out here just like you right there. And you might have seen because he did one of these with a coffee cup, so he's in the shot. Joe Vana is with me today. Who is Joe Vana? Joe, welcome. Thank you for being here, sir.
Nice to meet you in this format.
Yes, this format. I wore my 1985 shirt today. All right, just because I knew you're going to be on here,
Okay, so
and
what color is that shirt?
it's not a color.
Exactly.
It's not a color. See this here? So a couple years ago, this came out, and I was like, "Hey, this Mecha thing, this is really good." And of course, Mecha's been around. Joe, give me the truth about Mecha. You've been doing this for
Uh,
a long time, right?
Signed with Frontiers in '99. The first record came out in 2001. Second record came out through Frontiers in 2012. Yeah, I know that's a little bit of time.
Yeah,
11, 10 years between them, or 12.
yeah.
And then, Mecha 3 came out in 16, I think. And then that one came out in 2003, I
This one,
believe.
23,
Yeah,
right?
23, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the Missing Toys record that I'm doing now, which is where all my focus is. I kind of retired Mecca about
Okay.
2 years ago. And the point was, I had done everything I ever wanted to do with that record
Hmm.
and with that band. I mean, I had out of the three records, the three main records was one, two, and three. And I had Shannon Forrest on drums for one and three. I had Hungate on bass on one.
David, he's on the last name basis.
Yeah. On
I'm
Mecca 2, I had Tony Levin and Pat Mastellato.
oh,
So it was
Tony
like
11.
I
Wow.
had everybody I ever wanted to work with, because I'm a rhythm section guy.
Yeah.
That, like, I had the two best rhythm sections you can find. I had the two guys from Toto together, then I had the guys from King Crimson together. So it just worked really well. And I was like, okay, I think I'm done. And then I got a call from Serafino and Mario at Frontiers to do this record, this one you held up,
Yes.
uh, with the shameless plug there. That was great.
There it is
And
again.
yep, with Alessandro Del Vecchio. And I actually didn't want to do it. And then I talked to Al, and I was like, this guy's really nice. And he really got it. You know, he knew what direction he wanted the record to be in.
Yeah.
All I had to do was sing on. I wrote one of the tunes with him, but because I did want to have at least the hand in at least one track on it, because usually I never sing a song I didn't write.
Right.
So
So
this is
that
the
was
first
different for
time
you.
in my
Yeah.
life I've ever done that. Now, granted, I did demos with Peterick for 15 years, and that was all stuff I didn't write pretty much. But bottom line is, I wanted to give it a shot, and it was
Hmm.
me and my son doing the record together. He sang a lot of the choruses. I sang the verses, pre-choruses. I sang a couple of them all the way across, but I wanted him involved because Joey had worked on Mecca 2. He had worked
Hmm.
on Mecca 3, played guitar on both in pieces, because the second one was really Christian Wolf and Tommy Denander as the main guitar players, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, Both fantastic. And
Yeah.
Christian passed away a couple years ago. So
Wow.
it was a lot of fun doing that record with Joey. It was a lot of fun. So it kind of got me back to wanting to do another record again. And then the Missing Toys just kind of built out of that, Joey and I talking. And it was like, he kind of asked, what would you want to do? If you could do anything, what would you do, record wise?
Hmm.
And I said, well, I'd want a fantastic producer. I'd want to have a cohesive band throughout the entire songs, and I'd want real strings. So that's what we have.
That's
Everything that I ever
wow.
wanted is on this record. Um, and, a lot of people, when they do a record, it's like, oh, this is the greatest thing in the world. It's the best thing I've ever done. No. I just know that this one is the best thing I've ever done. I do know that it's going to change some things, because you can't put this in a genre. This record doesn't have a genre. It's not just orchestral. It's not pop. It's not prog. It's not rock. It's literally a piece of all of those. And it's almost like ELO in a
Yeah.
way. ELO,
Okay.
um, not as pomp, but more direct, a little heavier rock wise, when the guitars really come in.
Hmm.
But this is exactly, if I could pick one record that I'd ever want to do, this is the record I'd want to do.
That sounds this sounds amazing. Now, just for some of the viewers out here who might not be familiar with you,
Mhm.
um, you allegedly met Jim Peterick when you were 13 years old. Is that true?
It's not allegedly, it is true. And it was really weird because I was building a guitar, but I didn't play guitar. Okay, so
Okay.
a friend of mine were building it.
Yeah.
We'd pick up the parts, we were assembling it, and then we were painting it and all this stuff. So we stopped at a place called the Sound Post in LaGrange, Illinois,
Yeah.
and I went there to pick up the tuning pegs for the guitar, tuning whatever they call the tuners. And bottom line is, I see this guy in a big fur coat and the big Porsche aviator glasses, and he's like this on the
Yep.
window, looking in the window like this. And I told the owner guy who I had known, because I'd been going in there getting stuff, I said, "Who's that guy in the window?" And he goes, "Oh, that's Jim Peter from Survivor." I said, "Get out of here." He said, "No, it is." So then Jim comes in, and I talked to him for a little bit. He was super nice. And he literally writes on a piece of paper, he hands me his address
Yeah.
and said,
Yeah.
if, because he knew I had told him I lived right near him and everything. He said, "You want to ever come over? Stop by," which was,
That's awesome.
who does that? Who does that?
I know.
Come on, stop at my house.
Yeah, a
And
little eye of the tiger for you
I was
here.
just some kid building a
Yeah.
guitar. So anyway,
Right.
I waited about a month. I think I almost timed it. I waited about a month and I hopped on my bike. I was 13, hopped on my bike, rode over to his house, knocked on the door. He had this house. This house wasn't huge. His second house was, but this house was really cool. It was really long, but it had this huge front door. So I'm banging on the door and he opens up the door and there he is. And he remembered me and he invites me in. And I'll never forget, he had on these red Reeboks that
Yeah.
everybody used to wear back then. They had the red, the blue, the yellow, we had the
Yeah.
red Reeboks. And he invited me in. And this was during 1 Seconds Count. I think
Okay.
if I'm correct, actually I met him before 1 Seconds Count. I didn't hear
Wow.
anything the first day, but I remember hearing he was in, and then we're going in the corner and there's Frankie. And Frankie's sitting at this monstrous machine, which was an old drum machine. It was huge. And they were doing the demos for 1 Seconds Count, I believe.
Yeah.
And which of course is my favorite Survivor record because it kind of tied in everything. But the next time I came over, he had an acetate of the record. And he sat me down and I listened to the entire record, both sides of 1 Seconds Count. Now, this was a year or so before it's released.
Yeah.
And I was like freaked out because I loved their stuff for years, but this was a departure. This was a different sound for them. And I was hooked with that band. That became from my fifth favorite band to my first favorite band, right? That quick.
Nice.
And, but he was
Jimmy
kind.
Jimmy is my favorite singer of all time.
Yeah.
So
well, there's no question on that.
Yeah.
And I got to work with Jameson too. He sang with Mecca at a melodic rock fest, and it was me and him. And it was fantastic. I got to sing the Survivor stuff. He worked on Mecca stuff. It was really pretty surreal.
You feel all that pressure trying to sing Survivor stuff, though? No?
No. Because, how do I put this gently? I've sang so much Survivor in my life. I can do Dave stuff and I can do Jameson stuff. Nice. Because I cut my teeth stealing everything I could from those people. Okay. Now I got to know Dave, and Jameson and I became very good friends. But yeah, it was again, two of my favorite singers, along with Richard Page, Warren Wiebe, David Phelps, probably Richard Marx as well, and then smattering of other guys. And Bill Champlin, of course, who's on this record.
Yeah, nice
tracks. And but Jim was always very kind. And then Fergie Frederickson, who I knew online, which was weird.
Yeah.
But and then I went and met with him in Minneapolis. And obviously it was a little later in life. I was 26, 27, and my corporate office, the company I was working for, was in Minneapolis. So we got together for dinner, became friends after that. And he came in. I hooked him up with Jim. They were going to write together for Fergie's record, Equilibrium.
Okay.
The Frontier.
Right.
And this is like 25, 27, 28, 9, 30 years ago, whatever. And Fergie wasn't feeling well. His voice wasn't hitting it. and they wanted to cut these demos of the 2 tracks that they had just written together for the record. So I told Jim, I said, well, I could sing those. And he kind of laughed.
Yeah.
Not being dismissive, but kind of laughed. He's like, these are C's and D's. He said, no offense, but this. I said, no. I sing in the car all the time. I could sing this stuff. Now listen to what I just said. I sing in the car all the time.
Right.
I might have said I sing in the shower, which I don't. But I said I can sing these. So he puts me in the room. I'm standing there, and I'm behind the mic. I'd never sang behind a mic before. And I'm just sitting there. And about 5 minutes later, he comes walking in. He goes, what are you doing? I said, I don't know. I'm waiting for you guys to tell me what to do. He said, you got to put the headphones on. Like, oh, all right. So I put the headphones on. Now I can hear him, and I hear my voice with the reverb and the delays. And I'm like, oh, this is just cool.
Yeah.
So song comes on. I knew the melody and everything because I'd been sitting there while they were writing the tunes.
Mm-hmm.
I had the little lyric sheet. Jim had this little cool thing. It was really neat. So I just thought it was for fun. Knocked it out. Went through it front to back. All I heard on the thing was, can you do that again? I said, yeah, I could do it 20 times if you want me to do it 20 times. How many times do you want me to do it? He said, just sing it again. Because I was an eager kid at that time.
Right.
So he did it again. I hit it. And he goes, can you step in here for a minute? I says, do I take the headphones? He says, come in here. I says, okay. So I went around into the control room, and he goes, you know how much money you've cost me over the years? He said, I hire all these guys to sing demos. I could be having you do it.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay. A week later, 7 days later, I was singing on That's Why God Made the Radio by Brian Wilson.
Wow.
So that was how fast everything happened for me.
Man. And how old were you at the time?
26, 27.
Yeah.
I had never sang in front. I mean, I still don't like the sound of my voice. I don't like singing in front of people. Like if you ask me right now, sing something, I'd refuse.
Really?
I'm not one of those people that can.
I was gonna say do some Eye of the Tiger. Come on.
Yeah, great. I've done that many times with Jim, but I just I'm not built like that. I'm more comfortable in the studio where it's me, a set of headphones, it's controlled, and not just that, but I don't got all these people in front of me, and that just wigs me out.
So you're kind of like a Steely Dan character. We just get you in the studio and you just
we'll put it this way. On this record, Bill Schnee, who engineered Gaucho and Aja, is our engineer.
Yeah, that's a great.
Michael O'Mardian, who played keys on both of those records, and did all the pianos and all the stuff on those records, is on this record.
You could have stopped right there after you said Michael O'Mardian. You could have just stopped.
There's the Steely Dan thing. And Michael and I have become so close. And
he's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant.
He produced the record, but more importantly, we've become really close friends. And I think that's the best thing that's come out of this record is the relationships with Tom Hemby, Gary Lunn, Jorgen Carlson. Mm-hmm. And, I have Lukather and Huff on this record, both.
You got Steve Lukather on this too?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
Not only that,
I'm going to have to really promote this. I
have Lukather and Huff on the same track.
Nice.
That doesn't exist.
No, this is too much. This is like overload.
Yeah. But anyway, to get back to Jim, I spent about 15 years doing demos for him. Loved doing it. And he would teach me as we went, do this for harmonies, do this, do that. Because I didn't know a root versus a third versus a seventh. I didn't know what any of that meant.
Yeah, neither do I.
He taught me everything. I mean, he taught me everything. And I literally got a doctorate in music from him after, 15 years of working with him. Because, I mean, his vast knowledge of working with singers, if you think of the singers he's worked with, okay?
Yes.
That's an ever growing list of monsters. And to be able, and I was in his world stage band. So I worked in that for 6 years, but he taught me everything. He hooked me up with everyone. He connected me with everyone. This record doesn't exist without him. None of the Mecca records exist without him. I mean, the first one we did together, but there would have never been Mecca or anything if it wasn't for him. What? No way.
Yeah.
No way. So I'd still be, I'd be in business doing other things because I was designing album covers. That's how I got started.
Okay.
And bottom line is I would have been doing that and happy doing that.
Right.
But I would have never sung behind a mic. He completely took me, grabbed me, molded me, taught me, and sent me out in the world. So that's kind of.
he's already got an amazing legacy, and they have somebody kind of following
You
along
know what the name of
with
his
him.
studio is?
Who Jim's
Legacy.
legacy?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Legacy Recording.
I didn't
Yeah.
know that, but yeah, that's a great story. I mean, Jim Peterick. I mean, he was when I got to interview Jim Peterick, I thought I had made it, and he said something like, I throw this back to people. I said, Jim Peterick just said, I know what I was talking about. So shut up, because when he said that, I mean, I immortalized that. I'm like, if Jim says I'm okay, then I'm okay, because I mean, you grow up with this music. I mean, Hold On Loosely. A lot of people don't know who write some of these songs.
Yeah.
And you see Jim's name as a co-write or the writer, complete writer. Ides of March. People forget about Vehicle, which that was, Jim said to me, he was trying to imitate David Clayton Thomas on that, and
Uh, he
I just,
did imitate
I
David
just, I
Thomas on
just
that one.
crack up because
That's
it's just,
okay. That's okay. He did.
yeah, Dave is amazing.
He put
But
his own spin on it. And
right,
that's what a lot of guys do. But
and,
yet, look at Survivor. He wasn't copying anybody in that band.
no,
That
no,
was,
unique.
again, I still say that as bands go, not live. Okay. I think live, there's a lot of bands that could surpass them as players because,
Yeah,
again, you take a Toto, a Mr. where it's all the top session guys.
yeah,
That's a different level of things. But as a band goes, when I'm talking about making a record, they never made a bad one.
right,
Survivor did
right.
what?
No,
7 records, and out of 7 records, you know how many songs I didn't like out of those 7 records? None.
zero. Yeah, I knew
Not
you were
one.
gonna say that.
How do you even? I don't even know how you do that.
I
And
mean,
the melody, he's a one of one. Frankie had a big hand in a lot of stuff too. I mean, I'm going to
yeah,
give Frankie his props. He really
right.
did. But Jim Frankie's an amazing producer, and I think that's where he really created that sound of the band. And then
Mm-hmm.
Jim created, the melodic sense of the band, the way the music was really. There was never a lot of twists and turns. It was very straight ahead,
Mm-hmm.
but it was still unpredictable in ways, and it sounded so fantastic. The sounds they had, and Frankie's guitar tone is still out of all. I love Lukather, I love Huff, I love all those guys. Nobody's got guitar tone like Frankie. Nobody.
That's
And
cool.
it's all in your hands, and
Yeah.
just fantastic. He's fantastic, and I'm good friends with Frankie too. Great guy. I've been fortunate enough to write with Jameson. I've written a whole record with Frankie. I don't know if you realize that. I wrote a record
Nope.
called Reset with Frankie that has never been released and won't be.
Wow.
I've written Mecca with Jim. So I've written a lot with all those guys. And it was really an honor to do that. But I can't speak enough on Jim, how much he's done, how much he taught me, what he did. I owe him everything.
What's he up to right now? He's got to be producing or writing something right now?
He always is. I just saw him a couple weeks ago. One of my best friends from childhood owns a real big group of restaurants, and I'm actually a CFO of his restaurants. I take care of all the stuff for all.
So you have a real job. Yeah, you can't do this
I do.
anymore. Yeah.
And I don't have time for a real job.
Right.
I really don't. I don't
Yeah.
have time for it. But I make the time because, one, I believe in his place. He's got Pronto Italian Sandwiches, which is in 4 or 5 towns here. He's got Il Poggiolo, which is a fantastic Italian restaurant. And I love them, all the places so much. It breaks through the not wanting to work. I
Yeah.
love this. So if I didn't love doing it, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But
well, that's good for you though, man.
It's I know a lot of guys, they look down on musicians that have other jobs.
No.
I had 20 years I didn't. And then I was getting a little bored, to be honest with you, not using, what I was trained to do. So
here you are
here, and it's been great.
Yeah. Well, that's great. So let's talk.
I ran the gym here
at the restaurant.
I'm sitting at a table, the same table I'm sitting at right now. And 30 feet away from me is the bar. And I look and I kind of turn my head. I'm like, it's weird that I know what Jim would look like from behind. Because his hair is different now.
He's one of the few people that you probably.
He doesn't have the purple hair now anymore. But
oh wow, it's a big change.
So I walked over there and it was him with Colin, and I was like, oh, but I don't even know what to say because we had talked in a couple years, and we had kind of a disconnect there for a couple years, and we talked and everything was fine, and I was like, oh, well, this is fantastic. and I've now seen him a couple of times here.
Yeah.
But I know he's producing, I think, a couple records. I think he's doing it. I know he's doing a duets record,
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard that. I've
like a
heard that.
rock duet record with a
Yep.
bunch of guys. And so he's always doing 3 or 4 records at a
Oh,
time.
I know.
I have enough problems getting one record out in 6 years. He gets 4 or 5 a year. I don't
Yeah.
have that kind of, and it's not just focus. I can't stop. I got to keep going until I think the thing is perfect. He knows how to put a pin in it. I don't.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just keep going until I get to the point where I'm like, okay, I guess I better put this out.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. Well, he froze up there for a brief second, but I think it's cool. So let's talk about this new project a little bit more, like when it's coming out.
It's not a project; it is a band.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. I'm sorry to say it like
that. We're already working on material for the next one.
You gonna go out on tour?
We are gonna play.
Nice. Are you just here in the States, or where do you think you'd go?
No, we'll do some things in Europe because that's where the fan base really is. But I want to do probably 3 or 4 dates at a place called Third and Lindsley in Nashville.
Okay.
Probably December, January. And it's weird because everybody wants to play it. Everybody wants to do it. Omar wants to do it.
Yeah.
Hemby wants to do it. Stan Cody wants to do it. And I haven't mentioned Stan yet. I don't know if you know who Stan Cody is, but he was in Giraffe with Kevin Gilbert.
Okay. Yeah. You're
part of that whole Toy Matinee camp and all those guys.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Fantastic. And he's like,
is that where you got Misfit Toys from? Or just, was that
the Missing Toys? I got the Missing
Toys. Sorry.
I've had that. I had a song that I had written called Missing Toys, which I never really liked, but I loved the title.
Yeah.
I always wanted to name a band that. So when I decided to put this together, it took me about 3 seconds to say, this is what I'm calling it.
Nice.
And I already had artistic ideas with a teddy bear in every shot and it being a very dark thing, because I was saying I was creating, I thought, a musical genre, which is what I wanted to do. And I had a little teddy bear and it was a growth process. That's what I came up with for, creating some new type of genre of music. So that was what I wanted. So I had all the marketing ideas. I had all the ideas of what I wanted the album cover, of course, what I wanted the covers to look like, what I wanted the insides to look like. Yeah. So I had that a long time ago, and I love it. I think it's a cool name.
It is a cool name. It's different, but yet it's kind of like when you were talking about Toy Matinee, and I was thinking of that, and I'm thinking, maybe there's a connection there. So,
well, there is.
Yeah,
Missing Toys is because of Toy Matinee.
That's crazy. A lot of people don't remember Toy Matinee when that came out.
It was to me, it's a cult record that musos love. People that appreciate twists and turns, and since Pat Leonard's one of the best ever. And, you had Tim Pierce and Brian McLeod, Guy Pratt, his band was ridiculous. And then, of course, Pat.
Yeah.
So I still think that's a top 5 record for me. That is what do they call it? A desert island record.
Yeah.
Firmly ensconced in there. And I didn't know what that was. And we were working on Mecca, and Jim said, "You ever heard this record before?" And I said, "What's that?" And he said, he played me 2 records that night. One was a band called Tangiers.
Oh man, it's so weird that you like them.
Don't shoot me. I didn't know who they were.
No, but I tell people.
But Jim was writing with them.
Yeah.
So he wanted me to hear these guys. So I was like, okay, cool. And I don't remember if I sang on some demo stuff. I don't remember. I might not have. But he played me a bunch of that, and I thought, wow, this is really cool. Then he put on Toy Matinee, and I was floored.
Yeah, that was right at the end of my radio career. As Toy Matinee came out.
I'll remember that day for the rest of my life, hearing Toy Matinee for the first time in Jim's audio room. These big, massive. I mean, I'm an audiophile, but his speakers were about 6.5, 7 feet tall, 4 feet wide. They were these old, huge Infinities with 4 woofers. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was insane. This room was crazy, and I sat there and listened to this, and I couldn't believe what I was listening to. It's
not like anything else. It's still, even today, it's not like anything else.
This record is not like anything else. So the commonalities are
there's a connection.
There's a lot of connections here, yeah.
So the record coming out in, you said November, is that correct? Okay. Mm-hmm. And first single drops when? Before that, I'm thinking.
We're going to cut the video. We're going to cut the 2 videos actually in beginning of August. So I'd say they're probably going to come out in September.
Mm-hmm.
The two singles will come out September, October, and then November, the record will come out.
Very good. And you got a new record label, which is exciting because it's a
I
good
did.
up and
I
coming.
switched after all these years,
Yeah.
after 26 years with Frontiers. I don't want to say it was played out with Frontiers, but I had got to a point where I had put so much into this record, and I had put time, money, and everything into this record, and I believed in it so much. I was like, I don't want to get lost. And
Yep.
Frontiers is kind of a machine, and they just keep on churning out records.
Well, that's what happened when this came out. The year this came out, I was telling you, there was like 4 or 5 things that came out almost, I don't want to say at the exact same time, but I was kind of torn. Okay, promote this over here, promote that over there. And I had bought like 4 or 5 different records from Frontiers, and people were saying, you're just promoting Frontiers too much.
Send you records?
No, no, sir. Let's not have this conversation on here. No, look. All right. I've asked. Occasionally, a band will send me something directly themselves.
Why don't they send you records? You have reach.
I should clip this and make a video.
That makes no sense.
No, well, I've been told.
Records cost about 25 cents for them. They're probably paying $1 a disc to have them made. They can't send you a disc?
No. They told me that, they don't do, because I think the thing they told me was, well, if we do it for you, then we've got to do it for all these other people. And I'm like, I'm the one that does this in the videos. So everybody else says, I'm just going to, what people who watch me say, I'm just going to stream it. I go, no, you should buy a CD, support the artist, buy the disc if it's out there, So
I'm one of those that's okay with streaming.
Yeah.
Because that's more ears listening to something I created. And that's all I care about.
Well,
I don't care about the money. I don't care about how many it sells.
Yeah.
I don't care about the accolades. I care about people hearing what I created and having the ability to hear it like I hear it. That's all I care about.
I am an old school guy. And in the digital age, I'm like Joe Walsh. I'm kind of like an analog man. So I look at this and I say, and this is still digital, but I'm just saying I would like a hard copy of something for my collection. Not everybody is like that, and it's good for visual. Like, I can't show anybody a file, right? Here's the file of the song.
Well, we are doing audiophile grade vinyl on the record as well.
Yeah, vinyl is good
because with Schnee engineering it, and he's engineering everything through analog gear. So bottom line is we just have to do it vinyl. And I wouldn't have wanted it any other way.
And people are buying vinyl actually more than they're buying CDs today. So,
and again, if you're going to spend the time and buy it, and you still have a working turntable, then I want you to have something great to listen to. So
well, I'll look forward to that too. But anyway, getting off of that touchy subject, here's the thing. I want you to succeed at this, and one of the reasons I want to have you on is because I know you're one of these torchbearers. There are not a lot of them. Like I always said, there should have been another generation of this to keep us going, and technically there is, but you don't have the promotions machine, you don't have the visibility, you certainly don't have radio, right? I don't know if maybe you'll get some airplay over in Europe or something. I have a friend.
I think we will there, but here I couldn't shot in this country.
Yeah, it's over. It's over. I have a friend that does
play that's good here now.
Yeah.
I don't want to say something that's like, controversial or the only thing good on the radio now here in the States is 1981 to 1990 rock that I hear on the radio. Everything else I don't like. I was not a big fan of the 90s music. Yeah,
you and me are on the same boat.
Not there, baby. I don't want to hear that. And then on top of that, the year 2000 through 2025 is a genre of music that's really taken over that is so electronic and so not real and so auto-tuned and so just we've tried with auto-tuning on stuff and it makes it worse.
I
don't know what it is. It's you hear all these artifacts and all this stuff. I'm like, why would people do that? So I know my son will go in and tune notes and tune things a little bit here and there, but it's not some auto-tuned fest. No. I can sing. I worked under Peterick for 15 years. If I couldn't sing, he would have threw me out. Well, he wouldn't have thrown me out the door. But the point is, I wouldn't have had session 2. Okay.
No, I want to hear. I want to hear it. I want to hear, even if they're. I mean, the human voice. There are always going to be
Listen,
little flaws here
I
or
have
there.
those in this record. I have
Yeah.
things a little bit out of time that I'm good with because I love the feel of it.
Yeah.
Uh, don't go moving all those parts around when I sang it that way on purpose. So let's leave it there.
I mean, like my son one time when he was a lot younger, he heard Steven Tyler and he's like, "What's wrong with him?" I'm like, "That's the sound of his voice."
Yeah.
And I get it. You don't have to like
Steven
Steven
Tyler
Tyler.
is a character. Let's be
Right.
honest. He's a
Yeah.
character, and his voice is part of his character.
Correct. Yeah.
It's a whole package.
Yeah. But
And
I
it
mean,
works.
you don't have those characters you're talking about. Like it's like almost like a movie actor. You don't have those
Yeah.
characters. I mean, everybody is kind of put in this
Box.
tunnel. Yeah, box. I was gonna say tunnel, but yeah, and it's real bland and it's real boring and there's no flavor to it. And I mean, I'm happy that you're making this. This sounds amazing because
What's the name of this record?
um, well, the name of the album?
The name of this album.
Did you tell me?
Not AI.
Not it. No, is it really not
Yes.
AI?
Yes.
That's awesome. Go out. I'm gonna have fun talking about this. I'm gonna have once I get a disc, which I know I will. I will have it on the table here all the time. Like you got to go listen to Not AI today, and
It's weird, but that was strategic. I wanted people to know this was made by real musicians in real time. Yeah,
real people just like you and me.
The way
Yeah.
we did part it, we did have some of it done together.
Yep.
And then some of it was done by each guy in their own studios. And we put them together, but we didn't use AI to build these lyrics. We didn't use AI to build these melodies. We didn't use AI to build the musical compositions in this record. This is a real record made by real guys that pulled me out of it, have amazing amounts of talent. And I pulled the best guy at each section and said, would you do this? They all said yes. And this is it. To me, this is as good of a record as you can make today.
Nice.
I give homage to all those guys that came before me. Those guys are the ones who made this all, this type of sound and this type of thing possible. But the music today, again, it's so unrecognizable to music. It just doesn't feel like, it doesn't make me feel anything.
Yeah.
I don't feel anything.
Right.
Pat Leonard just did a record. I think he had the song on there called "When They Were Giants" is the name of the song. Now, it's unbelievable how great it is, and it's 2025, and it's fantastic. And then I thought to myself, there's not a lot of this going on.
No.
I mean, I'm in Chicago. Okay.
Yeah.
We got 8 million people here. How many people are making huge, gigantic, big records right now?
I don't know. Not many.
I think it's Peter and I in Chicago.
Yeah. You mean that style? Yeah.
Doing really big records of quality musicians, quality players, quality compositions, amazing performances, and it's wall to wall great. Other people do records, and they do EPs and this and that, but they're not big productions like they were back in the past.
No, there's no budget. That's why.
Jim still does that stuff too. So, and I don't think Jim cares about the budget either. He just wants to make a great record, which again, kudos to him again. I always say kudos to him because he deserves it. But bottom line, nobody else is doing this.
You're a torchbearer, brother.
Your gene pool in the music industry is about that deep now. Yeah. And you got producers that are really doing the record, and they bring the singer in, they yelp into the mic, and they're gone. They tune, move, create the sound, and they put a record out. And if that don't sell, then they got 10 others behind it, and they just keep on churning out this pablum.
Yeah, there's just like a handful of them doing it too. There's like just, and like you said, they can make one person sound like the next person, and this is what's on the radio. This is what goes out there.
How many people now are really artists? I mean, Ed Sheeran is an artist.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, she's kind of an artist. Yeah.
She writes her stuff and she plays her stuff and she does it live. Yeah. Now, if she doesn't do it live, I haven't heard about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't follow her.
My guys are in Nashville. I think I would have heard about it. But bottom line is, there's not a lot of real artists anymore. People that are really creating, performing, doing it, and doing really great quality music. And nobody cares. They just want to do what they think is good enough to make the radio. And if a 3 out of 10 is what makes the radio, then people are going to do what? they're going to do
3 out of
3 out
10.
of 10.
Yeah.
So 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 doesn't make the radio, then nobody's going to make that.
Yeah. You know what I miss the most? One of the things I miss the most, Joe, is guitar solos. I miss guitar solos.
Ooh, we got lots of those.
I miss them, and I'm tired of hearing about like I don't know how you feel about the whole Yacht Rock label, right?
You know that's all wrong, right?
Right. Well, I hate the label, and I'm like Donald Fagen, like I want to punch somebody.
Those two dudes in LA created the label.
Yep.
Okay. I'm sitting there with Michael Omardian,
who was part of that whole scene.
He's all over it.
Yeah.
Christopher Cross, all those records he was involved in.
Yeah.
I got Lukather on this record. He was obviously him and everything else.
Yeah.
I mean, if all I need is Michael McDonald, then I'm done. I have the mountain of Yacht Rock.
Doobie's record is pretty good. Have you heard the new Doobies?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
I gotta tell you, Yacht Rock is just nothing more than a really good, really great R&B record.
Thank you.
With that a little bit of soft rock feel to it and that sound, that 70s sound.
Yeah.
They're fantastic records.
Absolutely.
Yacht Rock, that's a negative connotation, a slap in the face, those guys. Let me tell you something. The guys that did it, they feel that way because I've heard it from all of them.
Yep.
It's a slap in the face to just call it Yacht Rock. It's real music.
Yeah, okay? Thank you. Thank you.
Deep musically, deep music.
Yeah. All the music I bought when I went from, like my early teen years up into my early 20, before I went to college, and was all alternative out, right? It was all of that style. I had the Christopher Cross album. I had a few other things outside. I remember bought the Pretenders debut. I had a whole group of records I got when I first ordered. And I look back, Billy Joel, Glass Houses. I mean, you could go through all this stuff.
Another artist.
Yeah. You could go.
Another artist.
Right.
You're talking all about artists. Everything you're naming that you like was done by an artist.
Yeah, but I had Boz Scaggs. I had Middleman.
Another artist
was part of my introductory shipment of records, right?
From the Omar worked with him. Schnee worked with him.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, I mean,
Lukather's all over the Boz Scaggs. Yeah,
but all these connections.
Yeah,
Hungate and Shannon, who I did.
It's kind of like it's a little like Toto. Toto backs him up a little bit.
Shannon worked with Boz on obviously later records and toured with him. Yep. They had it was McDonald, Fagen, and Boz Scaggs.
Yeah. The New York Soul Review too.
Dukes of September.
That was amazing. Yeah.
And I went and saw them here at Ravinia. Shannon got me tickets, and I took Bill Steiner. Bill Steiner was the bass player in Survivor.
Okay.
Sleep record.
Yeah.
And Bill and I went. We just sat there. We're like, I couldn't believe what we were seeing, and it was like this. How is this happening right now?
Yeah, I know.
Fantastic.
You're a good man for bringing all this stuff back up, because this is why when I talk about music, this is the stuff I like to talk about, and
what do we have to listen to? I mean, I put up on my phone, I have
old stuff.
I use Tidal. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you what I listen to on Tidal. Okay.
All right.
So Cold by a band called Balu Brigada. Okay.
I don't know what that is.
New band, new stuff.
Okay.
I like the sound of it, so I listen to it, but I think it's AI.
Yeah.
It all comes down by Patrick Leonard. This is new record.
Okay. I'll have to check that out.
Eric Clapton, which has Father's Eyes on it.
Yeah.
And Lady Gaga's new record.
Yeah, I haven't heard it.
Now, before you throw that under and Rat, by the way, of course.
You got Rat.
These are my top 6 right now on my playlist.
Yep.
So I'm trying to listen to some newer stuff if I can, but the Lady Gaga record, it's fantastic.
Yeah, really?
I don't know what else to say. I wish I didn't like it. I feel
she's
almost a little dirty by saying I like it, but
I know she's super talented. I get that she's super talented, but I've seen her, like I watched her do a duet. I hadn't seen the Tony Bennett stuff, and I watched it a little bit.
Crazy good.
Yeah, that was really good. I have to admit. What am I going to say? It's bad? It's not bad. It's good, but
I had a friend of mine that was completely into Lady Gaga. I mean, over the top into Lady Gaga, and I was like, I don't know. And then about 6 months ago, maybe 5 months ago, when this came out, I heard it. There was a song called Love Drug on it, which is an 80s rock tune.
All right.
On this record.
I'll have to listen to it. I'll give it a shot.
Absolutely smokes it.
She's got a great singer. There's no question about it.
I got to give her props. This stuff's fantastic. I mean, I know if it's good, I give it. I recognize that. But
Yep.
the problem is there's very little that's really
Well,
good.
then you got to sift through all of that to get to that
When
or
you got to go through
whatever.
1,000 records to get a good one, and by the way, that good record was from 1986. You just missed it. That's not good.
That's happening a lot where the stuff that the record labels didn't, it was like their fourth string thing, and then you hear it and you're like, where was this? It's like new bands you never heard of, things. And that's people who follow me, they're all saying, yeah, you should just feature that stuff. And I'm like, you could.
Best record is Pull.
Yeah.
And Pull, nobody ever bought it because it didn't come out back then. It came
Right.
out through Frontiers. They got a hold of it. They
Yeah.
put it out a couple years ago, but I sang a song on that record. Richard gave me permission to use a song called Waiting in My Dreams. And Tom Griffin, who was in Trillion with Pat Leonard,
Okay. Trillion. Wow.
and Tom Griffin replaced Fergie Fredrickson in Trillion. See, my world's actually pretty small.
It's a good world, though.
A lot of the same guys. And was fantastic. Fantastic. So again, you can find things that are good out there these days, but they end up being stuff from 30 years ago that didn't get released or you never heard.
Well, I say that a lot. Like Frontiers was part of
40
that.
years.
Yeah.
40 years ago.
Yeah, I know. I don't like to even think about it. It's like my 1985 shirt, like I said, but
You're much younger in it.
Yeah, it helps. It does a lot for me. So, all right, we better wrap up here because you and I, what we're doing now is kvetching. That's what you and I are doing. We're just like going back and forth with. And I wanted to promote your new band, which is a real band, not just
in November
project.
through Pride and Joy. The players on it are myself, my son sings on the record
Joey,
as well.
yeah.
Of course, I have him on everything, but I am on everything because he deserves to be on there. So that's
cool.
Perfect. Tom Hemby on guitar, who's played with, they say played with everybody. He's played with everybody.
He's played with everybody.
Stan Cody, who was in Giraffe and is a genius with he works for Fender, used to work for Avid, used to work for Neve.
So he gets sounds out of things that nobody else can.
With this stuff. Gary Lunn on bass, Jorgen Carlson on bass on a track. Nope, I don't think I missed anybody. Omar Ian, of course, is in the band and producing it. Schnee is mixing it. My son is also mixing a couple tracks. So, and Lukather on a tune, Huff on 2 tunes, Champlin sings on 3 tunes. So, I don't know. I don't know where to go from there. I mean, who would you add to that?
You can't. You've done it. You've created the best album of 2025, and I can't wait to hear it. So.
Well, I'm going to send you the link in about 10 minutes. And
nice. Yes, so, and I'll have to keep it under wraps, though. I have to keep it top secret.
I'm going to ask you not to share what I send you, but yes, I'm officially asking it on here. Don't share it.
I am not going to. Just for the record, I am not going to share it with anybody. All right, but I cannot wait to hear it. Joe, I've been waiting to talk to you for a while. This has been a pleasure. You're a good guy. You're keeping this going, and best of luck with this new album and this new band, and I can't wait for people to hear it.
Thank you. And the missingtoys.com is either up now or will be up within the next week.
Yeah, good. Thanks for
it. Might say it's not up yet. It should be up within the next couple of days. And I got at least 4 or 5 of the guys and their bios and everything. I don't know.
You got a Facebook page or no?
Facebook one is really little. I only got like 300 people on there. It's because I don't promote it at all, but it's the Missing Toys Band, I think, is the Facebook page for that. And then I have my old Mecca page. I changed that to the Missing Toys as well.
Nice.
That's up there as well. So the marketing machine is just starting.
All right. Well, I'm going to be part of it. So, people can come here and I'll have links to wherever they need to go. Joe, thank you, sir. God bless you.
There's a sound we all love.
All right.
So I really appreciate it. And call me anytime.
All right.